The rot and the ruins. The rain pelted the rusting rooftops of the old McCurdy town, a city that once thrived on agriculture and trading activities, now crumbling under the weight of greed. The roads were scars on the earth, cracked asphalt, deep potholes swallowing entire tires of cars, and stagnant water breeding mosquitoes that carried different sicknesses into the homes of the people of the land. This was not how it used to be. In the old town, under the dim light of a flickering street lamp, Malam Adu, a maize farmer, stood beside his wooden stall, watching passers-by shuffle through the muddy street with shoulders hunched. His hands, roughened by years of toil, clutched the last of his unsold produce. Again, with the soaring inflation, the markets were not what they used to be. Buyers had less money, and farmers like him struggled to transport their goods due to dilapidated roads that had long since fallen into disrepair. Across the street he looked. A towering billboard displayed the smug face of Senator Benro, his white agbada flowing as he spread his hands in a false promise of prosperity. Below his image were the words, "A brighter future for the Middle Belt region." But the only thing bright enough in the region was the fire from bandit attacks, consuming villages in the dead of the night. The people had screamed, pleaded, and begged for security and freedom, but the government's ears were clogged with stolen oil money and huge foreign bank transactions. For the cost of betrayal. In the heart of the town, the local hospital, once a beacon of hope, stood as a ghostly shadow of itself. The walls, stained with age, barely held up the leaking bloody roof, and the air inside was thick with the scent of sickness and death. Nurse Talatu moved from bed to bed, her uniform drenched in sweat, her movements as she paced weary even the sick. "Doctor, we have no more malaria and typhoid drugs," she whispered, her voice hoarse. Dr. Samuel rubbed his forehead with his own sweat. "And the governor just bought a new convoy of SUVs, for himself and his delegates," he muttered bitterly. The news had spread like wildfire. Millions allocated for healthcare and insurance had vanished. The state commissioner for health, a man who had promised reform, had built himself a mansion instead and traveled to Abuja for a vacation. And so, babies died in the arms of their mothers, not from war, not from famine, but from a neglecting government that saw them as nothing more than numbers on a padded budget sheet. The land continued to bleed in wealth. Not far from the center of the town, in the once fertile fields, herders and farmers now eyed each other with suspicion as they compete for space. The green lush land that had once fed the people was now a battlefield of ethnic strife, fueled by political interests. Guns mysteriously appearing in the hands of young men.